Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore. Time for another whiskey tasting. And today we're going to a California company that is making Broken Barrel whiskey. And if you have listened to the Whiskey Lore, the Interviews podcast, then you will no doubt know of the Seth Benheim interview that I did. He is overseeing Infused Spirits and Broken Barrel. And these guys, you should follow them on Instagram because you get to watch them breaking these barrels. What they do is they basically take underaged whiskey from Kentucky and then they take and put it into these steel vats, and then they break these barrels up and they put the barrels staves into those containers to rapidly age that whiskey and have an opportunity to use different types of barrels. Like they had a Mizunara oak, they had Isle of Peat, which used staves from an Isla barrel. They have Cask of Amontillado, that was one of theirs, and these are all really good whiskeys. And so this is a cask strength, 116 proof whiskey, 58% alcohol. And so we're going to find out how a young whiskey that's had extra staves thrown into it, and in this case, it's had, it's basically made up of 40% ex-bourbon, 40% French oak, and then 20% sherry barrels that have been broken up and put in, they call it an oak bill. And so it creates a very interesting second set of numbers to help us figure out what all of this ends up adding up to be. The other numbers being the mash bill. The mash bill on this, as I understand it, is 70% corn, 21% rye, so it's a high rye, and 9% malted barley. It comes from Owensboro, Kentucky, according to the label, which means that it's coming from what used to be O.Z. Tyler and is now the Green River Distillery. And Green River, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to go, if you go to Kentucky and you're doing the trail, you may say, oh man, that's way out in Owensboro, West Kentucky. Why should I go all the way out there? It is a great tour, definitely one to check out. And you'd be amazed at how many whiskeys are now being sourced out of Green River, but now they have their own brand as well. So just a little aside there. Let's go ahead and jump into this whiskey and see what a whiskey that has been aged for some time in Kentucky and then had these staves put in, what that ends up tasting like. And this is pretty high proof too, so this may be a little bit of a shock to the palate. And this is actually under a particular batch number. Batch number 6 is what this is. There's a little bit of nuttiness to it. The alcohol will hit your nose initially, so you can't take in too deep a breath. And there's a little mineral-y character to this that I would almost say is a Dickel kind of a mineral note that comes in. But the nuttiness is probably the thing that's most out front, plus a little bit of clearing of the sinuses from those alcohol fumes. Cheers. There's definitely cherries, a fudge note. Wow. The fudge really develops. But that rye spice, woo! Man, it's letting you know it's there. Yeah, this one's pretty strong. Wow. The oak's still there. There's still a little bit of that nuttiness is in there. Wow. But that rye really starts to bite. And then maybe a little bit of a corn note there on the finish. But I mean, I think the rye heat really stands out. The cherry flavor is nice, but then suddenly evolves into this fudge, and the fudge just takes over big time on that. And ends almost in like a marshmallow meets fudge, and it's gone. It's completely gone. It's like, I know I drank something, but it just kind of disappeared. So it's got a short finish on it, but when it's there, it's intense. When the flavor is there, it's definitely intense. I've had some really great stuff from these guys, and I tell you, the Cask of Amontillado, I love it. The California Oak, I was really impressed with. This is okay, but it's probably not one that I'm gonna go seek out again. If it has French oak and it has sherry barrels in it, I don't know where their influence is coming in, because the rye is really overpowering on this. And as much as I love rye, this is the kind of rye that more burns than gives you flavor notes and that herbally character that I so love. So it's probably the thing that holds me back from it. If you're a fan of fudge and cherries, I think you're really going to like this whiskey, because I think it fits the bill. But that's just, I mean, I do like cherries, and it's almost a maraschino cherry. And I like that. I'm that weird, odd bird that likes cherry cough syrup, you know? So there used to be a drink made by Pepsi called Josta, which was made with guarana, the guarana plant. And I used to seek that stuff out back when I drank soda. And because it had a really strong cherry cough syrup flavor to it. And it didn't last long, which just tells me that I'm one of the few that really loves that flavor. I look forward to a cold so I can have my my NyQuil before I go to bed. But that's just me. And that's why I say different flavors for different people. And so I say this is just okay for me. For you, if you love that fudginess and that cherry flavor coming through, then you're probably going to be a big fan of this. If it was a little less fudgy, a little less rye burn, I would probably tend to enjoy it just a little bit more. Those are my thoughts on it. If you guys have comments, leave them below. Have you tried anything like this? What do you think? Are you a fan of that cherry cough syrup kind of flavor, or maraschino cherries, or is that kind of a turn off for you? If you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe if you'd like to watch more of these in the future. And until next time, cheers and slanjava. Oak to fudge with a little rye.